I put the hose in there at some point. Doc was in there at some point for way too long. I was like, dude, you got to get out of there. And we couldn't get it to go out. And everyone's on the boat on the leeward side and it's like choking everybody out. And the guy's like, we got to go. Like, you can't, this isn't happening. Get off the boat.
This episode is sponsored by Schooner Woodwind Sailing Cruises. If you missed the memo last fall, we bought the business. I started my sailing career at Woodwind in 2006, working as an intern and deckhand, and 20 years later, 59 North and me and some friends are now the new owners, carrying on the 30-plus year legacy of an iconic Annapolis business. Woodwind sails two 74-foot staysail schooners on the bay, offering 2-hour public sails and private charters for corporate outings, weddings, and special events. These are real sailboats. They're 10,000 pounds lighter than Falcon, designed purposely for light air sailing on the Chesapeake Bay, and you'll turn the engine off as soon as you leave the dock. My favorite charter when I worked there was the two-boat team building, where we'd teach a bunch of folks how to sail, then match race Woodwind and Woodwind 2 against one another. It was awesome. One of the things we've implemented as new owners is that you can now book tickets for any public cruise for the entire season. You can use the code HOLDFAST, that's all caps, no spaces, HOLDFAST when you buy tickets online or at the dock office to get $10 off any public sale ticket. That's good for a beer and a half on us. Or contact the business office at schoonerwoodwind.com for private charter options. Tell them we sent you for special treatment. 59 North is also running 2 Woodwind trips this year, the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race and the Return Adventure Cruise up the bay, both in late October, which can be booked on 59-north.com/bunks, or just get in touch and we'll help you with that. Check out schoonerwoodwind.com to buy tickets. Use that coupon code HOLDFAST when you go sailing. Say hi to Captain Delaney and Jake, both of whom have sailed on Falcon. Thanks again to Schooner Woodwind. Well, that's thanking myself for sponsoring this episode of the show. On the Wind is supported by BVI Yacht Sales, our friends down in the Virgin Islands. I'm just doing a look at their listings on bviyachtSales.com. That's exactly like it says. And they've got a handful of really interesting boats for sale at the moment. They've got a 1989 Hylas 47 S&S design, kind of an all-time boat. John Kretschmer writes about this quite a lot. That's down in St. Thomas at the moment. There's a Hylas 49, which is the evolution of the 47. In fact, the Hylas 47 was also known as the Stevens 47, and Totem, Sailing Totem, has one of those. If you guys follow Totem on social media, check that out. There's a Hylas 49 down in Grenada at the moment. There is a really cool older Outremer, 45-foot Outremer catamaran, 2001. I love the old Outremers. I think they look really cool. Check that out. That's actually all the way down in New Zealand, of all places. And then one of my all-time favorite and most recommended boats that I've ever sailed, they've got a Saga 43 listed that is in the U.S. Virgin Islands right now. 43-foot Saga 43 from 1998. So check it out. My friends Ted and Brian and the rest of the gang are very trustworthy brokers, despite how we joke about broker BS on the Quarterdeck podcast. And stay tuned for that, because we'll be doing more of these boat review type things. But in the meantime, if you want to buy or sell your dream boat, go to bviyachtSales.com and get in touch with the guys there. In particular, Ted Reshetaloff, good friend of mine. I'm hoping to have him back on the podcast soon. But get in touch with BVI Yacht Sales. They can buy or sell any boat, not just the ones they're listing. And thanks again to them for sponsoring this episode of the show. Ahoy, shipmates. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy. What's going on at 59 North? It's definitely summertime here in Sweden now. It's beautiful weather. I've been down at Spica getting ready to install the new mast, which is going to come this week. Very excited for that. Also had a hard time sleeping the other night because I had a panicked moment where I wasn't sure that the mast was going to fit through the hole in the deck, because it's a keel-stepped mast. Because the old mast is kind of an old-fashioned, as from the 70s, pretty much an oval-shaped mast, and that's the hole in the deck is a larger oval shape to accommodate the original oval-shaped mast. While modern masts are more squared off, particularly at the back. So you have this length and width diameter, which is well within the margins, the hole in the deck of the new mast. But it didn't occur to me that the footprint is more like rectangular than oval. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not going to fit through the hole. And I couldn't sleep, and Axel and I were going to go down to Spica on Saturday, and I made a cardboard template. I don't know why I didn't do this before, but this is me in a nutshell. Ready, fire, aim, baby. I made a cardboard template, and I took it down, and lo and behold, it fits with plenty of margin. So thank God it fits through the deck hole. We got the old step out of the keel. Shout out to Anton for helping me on Friday do that. I got to bolt the new mast step down in, but I think I'm going to wait until the last minute to see exactly where it needs to be positioned. And the new mast should arrive in the next 2 weeks. I am very nervous because I've got my first Spica trip in 6 weeks from today, and I got to get that installed and shaken down and all the rest. New sails are going to be here as well. The whole thing's very exciting, but it makes me quite nervous. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on adjacent to 59 North. Mia comes home this week. Very excited for that. She's been gone for 7 weeks. Axel, I think, is more excited than me. Longest time she's been away since he was born. So shout out to the other sailing moms out there that take time away. It's cool that she's doing it, and we're happy that she's out there living her dream, but happy that she's coming home too. I am doing this, what am I calling it? Skipper's School, 59 North Skipper's School in the fall. So immediately following Boat Show in Annapolis, the Monday and Tuesday, I am basically giving a workshop on what it takes to be a captain of a boat at sea. We're going to spend a lot of time on weather routing and grid files and learning how to interpret weather and adapt to that. That's going to be a big part of the workshop. Going to cover leadership, watch routines, all kinds of stuff that you need to know. It's basically like, what would I teach an incoming skipper if they were starting working at 59 North? And that actually was stemmed because we're hiring right now, going through that process as well. So check that out. It's on the events page. It's right on the homepage, but it's on 59-north.com/events. You can sign up for that now. And we hope to see you at the boat show as well. Otherwise, open bunks are available on 59-north.com/bunks. We've got a few more left later in the year on Falcon, and I think only one left on Eastbjorn. And then, of course, 2027. And yeah, hope to have you sailing with us sometime this year or next year. All right. This episode's with Ben Doerr. It's a good one. Ben's an old friend from Seattle. He runs Sail Bainbridge. If you're out there, go sailing with him on his beautiful Pearson 44. Anyway, he was on another boat, and it almost burned down. It caught on fire, and it didn't burn down, and this is the story of how they saved the boat and saved themselves. All right, here we go. You're listening to On the Wind, my podcast about offshore sailing. I'm your host, Andy Schell. Friend of the pod, Ben Doerr of Sail Bainbridge out in Seattle, is back on the show to talk about a near miss he and his friends had recently in Alaska. On what should have been day one of their latest sail to ski adventure, a mile or so outside of the harbor, the boat caught fire in the engine room. Thanks to some quick thinking and a lot of good luck, they managed to save the boat, did no harm to the crew, and even managed to get in some skiing later in the week. This is Ben's story.
Where you're coming from? What you've been doing for 4 weeks?
I'm at my dad's house now. I was in Key West for a week as soon as we got over. So we came over, went straight to Key West for a week with Katie and my sister and all her friends.
On your dad's boat?
Their 10-year wedding anniversary. No, we flew down. We stayed in an Airbnb.
Oh, cool.
My sister and her husband got married in Key West 10 years ago, and they had like a big reunion for anybody that wanted to come. And there was like 40 people there. It was awesome. It was so fun.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
So did that, and then I literally flew from Key West straight to the Masters, the golf tournament, and had amazing time there.
Yeah.
Then went home for a few days, then went to Annapolis for a week, did my Celestial workshop, and did some woodwind stuff. And here I am, back home now for the home stretch. We're going back to Sweden on Saturday.
Okay, cool. How's Woodwind going? I'm just stoked for you guys on that. Or I guess I'm really stoked for the Woodwind as well, that program got you guys.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's really cool. We're only 2 weeks into the season, 2.5 weeks into the season. They started on April 11th.
Okay.
But so far so good. We're trying to there's so much good energy because everybody's got ideas and all this stuff. It's great. We're trying to kind of put the brakes on a little bit and just not change anything because they have a really good business and we don't want to break it. Right. It's like I told the story. We had a retirement party for Jen the other day in Annapolis, and I told the story of when I sailed with Paul Exner in the Carib 600 race. Like, he'd have the boat set up so good, and when it was my turn to go on watch, I was just like, all right, just don't fuck it up. Just don't fuck it up. And then that's what I feel like with Woodwind. It's like, I don't need to touch anything. Just don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know?
That's
Yeah.
generally the idea, but also trying to, inject some enthusiasm and some new energy in there and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
Do we
good. It's really
refer
fun.
do we refer to those boats in plural as the schooners Woodwind? I think that's
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 I
the
could
proper
take that. I can
English.
abide
The
that.
schooners Woodwind.
I can abide
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I can abide that.
I love that.
What about you? What have you what have you guys been up to?
Boy, howdy. Well, I just got back from Alaska, kind
Boy,
of an epic
howdy.
trip that we'll get into. Epic in some not so great ways, and but also yeah, delightful in other ways. Been building up to that trip for I don't know over a year, and was really stoked on that, and it kind of went belly up with our plans to be in the fjords. So I'm kind of recovering from that. If I'm being totally honest, it's like not the strongest mental health like stretch for me, probably because of that. Just nothing, severe. Just feeling like I'm trying to process it all and get through all that while I'm racing into my season. And I don't know if you knew that I took on managing a 72-foot steel like expedition yacht that's super rad.
I
And a
did not know that.
big power boat thing. I manage that for a family. An owner who is like super capable. He's a friend, and I mean, we became friends through this, but he is definitely a capable captain and a capable like he'll take apart a toilet, but he just doesn't live here full time. So he needed
Mm.
somebody to look after the boat, and he's got a lot of stuff going on work wise and whatever. So I manage the boat, and I've been managing the haul out. And this winter, I've been spending a good chunk in Port Townsend with the boat up there with a full electrical and power system. Not main power, but auxiliary power, electrical and generator. And I mean that you're in the engine room, you end up getting into freshwater plumbing and all this other stuff. We were supposed to get to the keel cooling system, which didn't happen, and there's a lot of stuff that didn't happen, but it's been there since December. Just tons of work. So that's been a big
Project
project,
creep, baby.
dude. Yeah, and a really good way to neglect my own boats. Thankfully, True's a pretty easy keeper. I'm like getting on the varnish now, and that's about all I got to do, and we'll be good to go for the season. But the tug here needs to be needle scaled above the water line, like pretty much lots of little spots that need to be scaled, and then you know, oxbowed and primed and painted, and there's a ton of work to do.
That's the
So
story with steel boats, right? You're just constantly chipping and painting.
yeah,
Isn't that what they say?
once over dust, twice over rust. That's what they say. So just just keep painting them. Yeah. But
Nice.
it didn't get painted last year, so I got double the work ahead of me this year, and but that's okay. This is and my little dive boat out here. I don't know if you can see her over my shoulder, but my little working toki there. My sweet little dive boat is
Oh,
working as well.
that is cool.
Yeah, I've got about 25, well, 20 more, but about 25 dives on the books for this year. And so with the Puget Sound Restoration Fund doing kelp research and restoration. So that boat's keeping me a little bit extra busy too. So there's lots going on.
Do you do you dive with them or are you just driving the boat?
No, no, I'm running the boat. Yeah. Yeah. Occasionally
It's
on a
pretty
really
cool,
nice
man. I like
day
that.
when they're like taking a break in between dives, I'll throw a wetsuit on and free dive and scoot around in the kelp. And then we do some after, like last summer we started doing these like after work at like 8 o'clock when I get done sailing because we got lots of light. We'll grab some snacks and a couple six packs and a couple diver friends and go free dive the kelp beds down on the south end of Blake Island, and then just like you know kind of meander home and have a beer and just like enjoy the evening as the sun goes down. It's a pretty fun
Oh,
way
that's
to do like a
awesome.
Tuesday
That's
evening or
super cool.
something. Yeah, it's
Hell
great.
yeah.
It's
I
been,
love that.
yeah,
That's really
been
cool.
leaning hard into this life on the water, even though we're in cold water, it's like I want to be on it and in it and under it. And yeah, it's a good life we
I
got
love
going
it.
up
I
here.
love it. I'm living vicariously through you. I mean, we just moved, before I came here, we moved to a new house and sold the
Yeah.
farm and We don't live near the water, but we're slightly closer than we were before, and we're closer to the boat and the winter shed and stuff. And that's been, I mean, it's we haven't really got to enjoy it yet, but it's going to be a huge lifestyle change for us. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, there's something to be said for, I mean, it's wild that you had that much land. Like land is like a boat or like a couple of boats, and you already have a
Mm-hmm.
couple of boats. That's all. So that should unburden you a
Five,
bit.
five at my last count.
It's pretty wild, dude.
Only one though that I am the like hands-on responsible for. So that's all right.
And that's
I mean, I'm
Spica.
responsible for all of them, but yeah, Spike is the only one that I am actually doing the work on myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
We're getting a
Excellent.
new rig and sails for Spica this year. That's basically as soon as I get home next week. The mast should arrive any day, and gonna have to put that in and hope I measured right, man. Whew.
Measure once, cut three times.
That's how I usually do it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
nervous about that because it was like a whole, designing a new rig from scratch. Like, you had to measure everything was with like lasers and measuring it. It was a process to measure it, and I'll be surprised if I got it right on the first try. So we'll
So
see.
new sticks as well, or just the standing rigging and sails?
No, everything, and it's 6 feet taller than the old one. So the whole thing is new. It's a completely new design.
Wow. That's fun though, to get
Yeah,
to do that.
Bob Perry drew the new sail plan for us. So the
That's
mast is
fun.
6 feet taller. The boom's a foot and a half longer. It's double spreader instead of single. It's a fractional rig. It's totally different. It was.
Why'd you
I
go
mean,
with
it's gonna be
fractional?
awesome. Basically, we modernized the sail plan a little bit, so it's got a much bigger main and a smaller jib. And I know, like obviously the balance of the boat is affected by that, but the mast is already way forward in this boat, so there was room to do that. And a lot of other owners have done this exact same thing, so it's
Cool.
just to make it easier to handle. So you
Yeah.
won't have such a big Genoa. You have a smaller Genoa, bigger main, and then we'll have an asymmetric kite for cruising around the archipelago. So
Yeah,
I'm I'm
cool.
I'm super stoked.
I just
Mm.
learned that I've been sailing my boat wrong for 11 years.
How's that? How so?
Well, my sailmaker was like, I was like, my Genoa, which I've had for, I don't know, uh, probably 10 years, 9 years or something ago, he built me that Genoa. So that's kind of come and due. But I just like the boat is I rarely reef that Genoa. Like I reef the main down, and I mean it's built with two reefs in it, and I I'm just like I just don't do it. I don't know. The boat feels balanced, whatever else. And my sailmaker was like, "You've been beating the crap out of this Genoa. I built you two reef points so that you would reef it." He's like, "If it's blowing like over 10, put in the first reef. If it's blowing over 12, put in the second reef." When it blows over 15 consistently or 18, I'll put on my little Solent jib that's on the removable
Yeah,
roller furler and just fly a smaller jib. I
yeah.
kind of just keep that up all spring because it's usually pretty windy here. But like I would just it was kind of I was flabbergasted. I was like, I've been doing this all wrong, and I've started reefing that thing way more often, and it sails beautifully. It's like, God damn it, why do we still have
Imagine
to
that.
learn a decade into
Imagine
this
that.
thing? So
That's the beauty of the
yeah.
sport. You're always learning. You always learning, man.
That is the beauty of it. I mean that's the whole point of if you don't like learning a new thing constantly, then boats probably aren't for you. It's like
Yeah,
you almost
exactly.
never get to consciously reapply the lesson you learned. Like you do reapply the lessons you learned, but at the same time you're having to learn a new lesson that your boat is teaching you like
Something
all the
else.
time.
Yep.
Systems, woodwork, fiberglass work, steel work, like plumbing, whatever it is. Like if you're doing the things on your boat, it's like, man, always something.
Is this a good
Yeah.
segue to talk about another recent scary lesson that you learned?
Oh my
Should we
God, I
dive
have
right into
so many.
that?
We
Hang on.
should.
So wait,
Yeah.
I gotta. Are you? If you're ready to start, I want to first. I want to just read the first text that you sent me about this when you're ready to
Oh
start.
gosh, yeah. I don't remember what I sent you, but I have been considering. I want to talk about a lot of the safety things that I kind of have been considering since this incident, we'll call it. Anyway, that's just on my mind is like kind of trying to glean something useful from this, not just like a dramatic story.
Well, I mean, that's exactly that. Those are my kind of stories. But here, we'll get right into this. So you texted me on April 19th, bro. Yesterday, shortly after our departure from Cordova Harbor on a friend's boat headed to sail to ski Prince William Sound, we suffered a terrifying and damn near catastrophic boat fire. And then it goes on from there. And I'm just like, and then you sent me some pictures. So what the hell happened?
Yeah. Gosh, my heart rate just like kicked up like as you were reading that text. Um, well, okay. We so the to set the scene, we do these sail to ski things. This was going to be our fourth trip in 6 years, I think. Yeah, fourth trip in 6 years. And they've all had some amount of success and some amount of challenge, usually weather. I think oftentimes terrain. Our most quote unquote successful trip, I think, was the last Alaskan trip we did out of Sitka on my friend's boat Dog Bark, an open 60 like Duracell. Actually, Duracell exists because of the open 60 that my friend had, and or it doesn't exist. Matt has it because of that. They know each other. So anyway, but epic terrain and whatever, challenges for the skiing. But we continue to do it because we like suffering and we like we like the adventure. And honestly, like I would enjoy a large part of my career, if not my entire career, being driving boats up fjords. That's like what I want to do. Like when I take a boat into a fjord, it's like it's church for me. It is the most transcendental experience I've ever had. Um, it's like the most religious I'll be at this point in my life.
We got
So
to
I
get you
love.
back on Eastbjorn over in Norway, man. That's what
Oh
they
my
do.
God, I know. In summer times, it's like so. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll figure that out. Where there's a will, there's a way. But my good friend and former doctor, who actually this boat, Capaz, I came up the coast from San Diego when he bought the boat. I was on the delivery crew to bring it up to Bainbridge Island, and that's when I first heard the On the Wind podcast because my buddy was like, download a bunch of these, it's really fun. And then after that
Huh, no
trip
way.
after that San Diego trip, that was 2015, as I was trying to buy my boat. And the guy who sold it to me, who's now a friend, um, for True, my sailboat, and start my business, he was like not wanting to sell it to me because it was close to home and I wasn't he wanted a cash buyer that was going to disappear far away because it's an old boat.
Mm.
And at least that's my read on it. And so I'm like struggling, like trying to figure out how to put in another offer. I'm listening to your podcast. It's the money episode that you did way back in 2015 about like breaking down how you run the business and how the money works, which is you should go back and listen. We should all go back and listen to it because I bet it'll make you giggle how little money you were working with.
I was
Um,
literally just going to say that. I bet it's very quaint with me talking about a few thousands. Now, the numbers have gotten a lot bigger since then. It's crazy how you get comfortable as the numbers get bigger, which is scary.
yeah, I mean, my guess is you guys probably weren't breaking 100 at that time. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We don't have to talk money now,
No,
but I
I'm
think
sure we weren't.
I
Yeah.
bet it was a little But I just remember thinking like, this is so rad. I'm like in my first trip at sea, like offshore. I mean, coastal, but like doing an ocean passage and listening to this podcast. It's really enjoyable. I wish I could remember who you were interviewing at the time, but I listened to like 8 or 9 of them, whatever would fit on the iPhone at the time. And then I emailed you when I got home because you and Mia at the end of every episode were like, email us. We respond to everything. And I emailed you, and now here we are. We're friends. But anyway, so that boat is a
Here we
very
are.
special boat to me, and it took off for the last 8 years to the Pacific. It took off before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, it really got um, kind of bounced around. That was a weird time in the Pacific or anywhere, but they ended up in Guam because that was U.S. territory, and there's like four
Huh.
spots in the hurricane hole there. There's like they've created like a hurricane hole, and this guy had you like strap your boat into these like anchors, 4 anchor points, and you're like barely floating in fairly shallow water. It's wild, wild little spot as I understand it. But anyway, the boat was there for a while. Then Japan opened briefly, so they went to Japan. Boat was in Japan for quite a while. They went a bunch of other places before that, but they ended up in Japan, and the boat, they were back and forth between Bainbridge and Japan by flight, because they live here. They'd leave the boat for 6 months. They'd go back down and sail around, whatever. Boat left Japan for Alaska 2 seasons ago to Kodiak. Ended up doing the outer Aleutians and landing in Kodiak. And to hurry this along, the boat was supposed to come down to Juneau or Sitka last summer. So I called my friend and I said, "Hey Doc, can we use your boat and go to Glacier Bay? Because Glacier Bay is sort of this last little bastion that's like maybe permittable for us to operate a sail to ski operation. The boat is complicated. The boat
Okay.
has to have a permit. Maybe we partner with someone who has a boat. Yada yada. There are a lot of hurdles to jump over, but we want to at least explore it and see if it's a reasonable thing to explore." So we were going to go to Glacier Bay, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll be the Skip Novak to your expedition," And I was like, "Yeah, great." So, and it's a cool boat, steel hull, built in New Zealand with a composite top, or like I think a glass ply top almost, or something. Anyway, it's a really fascinating boat and really cool. And at any rate, we're gonna go there, and then I get this call last summer, at the end of last summer, that's like, we decided to stay in Prince William Sound for another summer, or another season. And I was like, well, okay, where's the boat? It's in Cordova. I was like, you want to just do it in Prince William Sound? I mean, we're not making this a business at this point. We're just trying to learn and explore and ski, and ski off of boats and drive boats up fjords, and that's a really cool spot. A lot of heli skiing up there, so we know there's skiing. And he said yes. So short of it is, a plan came together, dream team of the dock and 7 other crew, including myself, of skiers, most or half of
Or are
whom.
these people? I was going to ask. Are they so they're just friends, or are they
These are
customers?
buddies. Yeah. No, these are like full
Okay.
on
Okay.
dream team friends. Like,
Yeah.
and let's
Okay.
see,
Cool.
two of them, two, three, I don't know. Yeah, like four of the 7 of us had worked on the last Alaska trip together, in out
Okay.
of on Dog Bark, and then 3 of us, myself and Andy Cochran and his wife Jenny, the 3 of us had worked the second BC trip together. So there's a lot of continuity here.
Cool.
Andy and I are kind of the
Yeah.
core of it, and then we brought a lot of people in. Um, so at any rate, we put together this dream team of people to go to Cordova. And my niece came along, which was really rad. Uh-oh, I'm just getting a low power mode. Is that going to work? Can you hear me still? Is the audio
I
going to
got
be
you. Yeah,
okay?
I got you. Yeah, I
If
got
this
you.
thing dies, I'll have to switch to my phone. We may have an interruption. Will that be super annoying?
That's fine.
Probably.
I mean,
For
I'll fix
for
it in
some reason,
post. Don't worry.
yeah, we'll fix it in post. My computer doesn't want to charge for some reason, so we're riding on air. Um, but the yeah, we put together this dream team of folks, including my niece and a bunch of friends we'd worked with, and some friends I hadn't worked with, but everybody that Andy had worked with, everybody in the field except for my niece and the boat owner, Doc Hurlo. And we went up to Cordova, and I flew up a couple days early with this plan to go up the fjords and ski. And we got the boat. We had just like, I remember the what was the docs saying? It was like, that's a blow for success or something. Like, we just kept having like win after win with the boat. It was like, he got the water pump on the engine reinstalled that he had rebuilt, and that was working great. We got the generator fired up, the outboard fired up on the dinghy blew up and didn't have any holes in it. We got the Dodger on, we got sails. Like, it was just like win after win. And then it was like, all right, we ran the engine, everything's working great. Got the Starlink hooked up, and then the crew were coming in the next day on Friday, like a day after I got up there and 2 days after the doc got up there. So this is a tight schedule. The boat's been winterized up there, right? And just like hanging out.
Okay, yeah. So that's ambitious.
It's super ambitious, but the boat it's an easy keeper, and it's like a ready to go, expedition boat, and it's been sailing all over the world, and he's been doing this for uh, I don't know, 50 years or something with his wife, sailing around the world or around the Pacific. This trip that he just got back from Japan on was his third endeavor in sailing the Pacific. The first one was just him and his wife, then the second one was with their three boys when they were young. Now their boys are in their 30s. And this last
Cool.
one was, friends in and out and the boys in and out. And um, so anyway, he's a dialed in sailor with just a shit ton of experience. We got it together. Crew show up. We figure out how to fit seven skiers gear and skis on this 50-foot steel cutter. That's not real heavy on berths and storage space. It's got a lot of open space in it. But we figure it out and we're dialed. And the next day, the day we're going to depart Saturday. By the way, if this had happened on a Friday, I don't think I would sail again. I'd be so wrought with superstition.
Yeah,
But
really.
yeah, but it was a Saturday, and we had slack tide, assumed slack tide at around noon to get fuel. So we go to the fuel dock about 20 minutes away, and it's not like your fuel dock at the nice yachty places, right? This is like Cordova, Alaska. This is giant piers that you got to like somehow bang up against, and the guy's going to hand you the hose like 20 feet below you, or below him, and hand it down to you. Um, and you have to kind of try to feather this thing because it's fast as hell diesel, for like the big boats. And
Oh God,
yeah,
that's the worst part about that kind of stuff is the freaking
yeah.
high speed diesel. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's super gnarly. But anyway, we got in there. It was challenging because the tide was still running, probably at like 2.5, 3 knots. But we got onto the pier after the second try. We fill up the fuel. We're talking to this old fisherman who said he was 99 years old and had been born and raised in Cordova and just having a great time. The sun's
Damn.
out. Everyone's out in the sun, enjoying what's happening, and sea otters are floating by with their little, rocks cracking open their shells and being just absolutely adorable. And we head off, and we're 20 minutes off the fuel dock, approaching the first buoys to kind of get between the islands to head out to the fjords. And we probably had a 8-hour journey on our hands or something like that. But it's light till the sunset was like 9:30 already, and gaining like 13 minutes a day, um, or something
It's
like that.
fast how
Um,
quickly that goes up
it's
north. Yeah.
crazy up there, yeah. And so we're heading out, and Doc asked me to take the wheel while he looks at something on the, I don't know, nav desk or something. He was doing something inconsequential. And then he walks back out through the companionway, and we hear this like woof, 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 like grinding. We're like, we both look at each other with that look of like, we're the two sailors that hear it. Nobody else hears this noise. And we're like, that's kind of funky. And then we stand there and listen, and then to me, it almost sounded like a shaft noise, when you
Uh
have
huh.
something going on with like your cutlass bearing or something. My brain's just like scanning through a bunch of things, and you're like, yeah, something's going on. So I slow up the RPMs, and he's like, I'll go down below and check the engine. Basically, the galley's like a U-shaped galley that the U of it comes to the center line of the boat, and under that center line countertop is where the engine is. And it's a
Okay.
five-cylinder Gardner. It's like this steampunk, like,
5 cylinder.
yeah, it's a three and a two mushed together.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's how
Okay.
Gardners are all like parceled out. They're basically like cylinder by cylinder, so you can build a Gardner into whatever amount of cylinders you want.
Huh.
So they're really strange and glorious engines. This one had been an auxiliary in the 90s. It had been a auxiliary generator that had barely been run, and so this guy that built the boat in New Zealand was like, "I'll take that," and put it in his boat. Um, at any rate, he goes down. He opens the side cabinet on the starboard side there, and smoke, like white grayish smoke, like just comes out. And we're like, shit. We both look at each other. I'm at the wheel. I'm like, put it in neutral, and then it's kind of smokier. And he's like, let's shut it down. Everything's like chill and calm. We're like, let's shut it down. We obviously have like an exhaust elbow leak or something. So pull the cord on that thing, shut it down, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa, like raging black smoke, like just the nastiest toxic billowing out of this compartment. And we open there's these two big hatches up above the galley, which we open up to let the smoke out, which is letting oxygen in, but in hindsight was probably the move because I think it saved the boat from a lot of smoke damage. That would have happened if we had trapped all that smoke in there trying to snuff, and we were past the point of snuffing at this stage. My niece was like down the companionway, like in the main salon. It's kind of an open doghouse thing, and she was like standing in there. I think she was the only one inside, and I was like, "Hey, you out like now, like get out of there." And
How old
everyone
was
else
she?
was
How
like,
old is she?
"She's 20."
Okay, so
So
she's a
yeah,
kind
she's
of
an
a kid,
adult.
but not a kid. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
yeah,
like a
yeah,
junior in college and
yeah,
very capable
yeah.
human. But I was like, hey, like, don't stay in there. And I was like, Doc, let's get a respirator, and it was like digging one up or finding where there's a respirator. It was like, we need to deal with this now. We can't be looking for a respirator. And so it's already like it's like acrid, like in your lungs, in your mouth, like in your nose, like it's bad. Like we're already in this really nasty stuff. You're already starting to like cough and splutter. And it's just me, and I get everyone on deck and forward because there's a what do you call it, like an enclosed cockpit, like canvas enclosure, so it's just like
Okay, yep.
trapped in there. And it's like we open the sides. When we had opened the hatches and the smoke is coming out the hatches, we're trying to like suss out what's going on, but it like turns black in there, and we can't even like see where a fire extinguisher is. Like you can't like find your way around in there. So we come
Damn.
out to try to get a breath. A bow picker, do you know what a bow picker gill net boat is? It's basically like a full aluminum hull, and there's like a wheelhouse, kind of heavy, chunky wheelhouse on the back with a real square back, and then it comes up to a point, and there's two poles in the front that the net comes onto a big reel. They like lay the
Okay,
net
all
out the
right.
bow, and then they pick it up from the bow. Anyway, these are like ubiquitous in Cordova. There's
How
thousands of
big
them,
are we talking?
like 25 to 35 feet, depending, or 30
Oh wow,
feet or
okay,
something.
little. Yeah, yeah,
Little, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
And so this bow picker comes racing over, and they're like, "You got a fire, dude." And we're like, I think you're right. And
Good observation.
yeah, and he
Did
comes to the
you did
lead.
you think it was like? Hang on a second. At this point,
Yeah,
like they said, you got a fire, dude. Had you thought fire, or were you guys still thinking like something weird?
yeah, didn't really know. Honestly, at one point there's a video that was taken where I go like, I wonder if there's a fire, like, and it's like so obvious there's a fire, but like you hear me
Yeah,
say
yeah.
like, I wonder if that's burning or something like that. And my friends on the trip were like dying laughing at that video because it was like so obvious that there is a fire at this point. Um,
Yeah.
there's a couple of wild videos actually. Um, my dog is being real annoying. Um, give me 1 second. I got to get her to stop barking.
All
Okay,
right. I can't hear it for what that worth.
okay. If you can't hear it, we're leaving it. Um, but
No, I
yeah,
can't hear
so
it.
okay, good. So the basically the bow picker comes over, and they come over to our port side, which is the leeward side, and the wind is blowing just tons of smoke, and they like come up alongside and hand me a fire extinguisher and back off. And I go down below, and I look in there, and I see that there are flames, like yellowy flames lapping up underneath the engine. So I'm like, something with the oil pan or something is on fire here. So I hit the fire extinguisher, you pull the pin, you hit the thing, and I try to get it down in there and blow it. And I don't, have you ever used a fire extinguisher in anger? Like,
I sure have, and it is a freaking disaster.
and it doesn't do anything. It's like, I mean, if you have a very small isolated incident, like I had a small fire that I started like an idiot on my windlass when I was using acetone to clean it and then spun it, and the electronics caught it on. You hit it, it's out, like, because there's no
Well, that's
source.
what happened. That's what I had an alcohol fire on Spica during Gotland Runt race like 5 years
Yeah,
ago, and
Jesus Christ.
it
Yeah,
it was just one quick. It was an alcohol stove, and it was just one quick blast, and
yeah.
it put it out immediately. But
And
it
three
made a
days
hell
of
of a
cleaning
mess with
up.
all the
Yeah.
powder. I
Yeah,
mean,
one
yeah,
blast. Well, this I didn't give a shit
yeah,
about the powder, but I blasted in there and it goes like 2, 3 seconds of blast, full on
yeah.
dead. I go out, I throw that into the cockpit. I come up, the dude comes up. I don't remember. This was like amazing choreography because in my mind, there's no speaking about coordination. I just come
Yeah.
up and he's up alongside and he hands me another fire extinguisher and backs off and I go down below and I hit it again and that thing lasts 2 seconds and I go, fuck. Like I'm not it's not gonna do anything and this thing is burning. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I I was
Damn.
like,
Yeah.
now I see fire and immediately my brain is like, if this furniture catches on fire, like we're done. We're losing this boat. Like you have,
Jesus.
and I know in theory that there's so little time from when a fire starts to when it becomes a real problem, especially on a
Hmm.
boat. I didn't feel there was any risk of harm other than the smoke inhalation. I didn't feel that anyone else, other than the doc and I, were at risk of harm because we had a life raft and we had a dinghy on deck, inflated and good to go, and we're a mile from shore. So I
And
didn't
you
think
also had
anyone
another
was.
boat right there
And
too,
we
I
had another
guess.
boat right there, and another fish boat came up. Like I didn't feel like we were going to have any loss of life or real harm or anything like that. Um, however, uh, I did really worry about the boat. And
Hmm.
so at this point, the guy has his deck hose. They have these deck pumps that are pulling salt water, and the 2-inch hose that's just like absolutely, you know, blasting water like a fire hose. And they use it to wash the decks off and whatever else they need to do with all the fish, blast the fish out of the net, even probably
You mean
if they need
fush?
to. Fush the fushing. So so they for those of you who missed previous episodes,
Yeah.
so the guy hands me the hose, he turns it on, and it's so weird, man. I remember thinking like, "Ooh, I don't want to get it wet down there. That's gonna like be hard to clean
Yeah. I'm
up."
in
And
my head. I'm just like salt water.
yeah, I'm like the mattresses and the fucking stuff and the I don't know. In my brain, you're like, do we really want to hose this thing? Is there another way? And it's like that
Yeah.
split second of hesitation is so stupid. It's like the and
Yeah.
and and my brain went, what if it's an electrical fire? You don't want to put water on it because that's what you're taught. And this guy just goes like, listen, dude, you fucking hose it or you lose it. Like stick it in there, and all you can do is drown this thing in water. Like fill your boat full of water to stop this fire. And so, okay, he's like,
Wow.
I lost this boat a year ago, and I've been in two other fires, and he's just like, we got to go. And so
Wow.
we hose it, and there's a lot of white smoke starting, right, which is showing you that you're getting like steam basically mixed in there. And I don't know how long that goes on. One thing I wish I would have done is like ask somebody to mark the time. Not that it's
Mm.
apropos of anything other than understanding how long things took
Yeah.
and how it went down. But um but just you could only be in there for like a split second and then you're like hacking up black stuff, like so it's gonna like make me stop thinking of it. But it's like so uh I don't remember the order of things. I put the hose in there at some point. Doc was in there at some point for way too long. I was like, dude, you got to get out of there. And we couldn't get it to go out. And everyone's on the boat on the leeward side, and it's like choking everybody out. And the guy's like, we got to go. Like, you can't, this isn't happening. Get off the boat. It's going to go up in flames, and we're not having somebody die in the smoke. So I pulled Doc off the boat. He was reluctant and obviously didn't want to lose his boat, and we pulled around to the windward side to like kind of talk about it. And meanwhile, one of the fishermen is on the phone with the Coast Guard, who are like, you have everybody on your boat. And he's like, well, except the two people that are fighting the fire. And they're like, but you have a boat there. Okay, good luck. That was basically the
Damn,
Coast
really?
Guard's response.
Wow.
Yeah. And the fisherman had a few choice words to say to the Coast Guard before he was like, I can't be talking to your dumb ass. I got to fight a fire, and like threw his phone on the dash and was like
Wow.
really pissed because he's like, what are they here for? Now, in my calmer, like everybody easing off and thinking about it, it's like the Coast Guard's there to save people, not property. And they
That's
have to
right.
save a
Yeah.
lot of people in that region. So I don't really disparage the Coast Guard in that, although it was disappointing and frightening when you're like, so
Yeah.
nobody's coming. And like
Yeah.
the one thing I would say about that is that why isn't the Coast Guard coordinating with local law enforcement? Like the sheriff have a boat with pumps, the fire department has a boat. Like we should have just called 911 and connected directly with them. But when you call the Coast Guard, like they also can coordinate, at least in Puget Sound, Sector Puget Sound, like they'll coordinate whoever's available. They'll put out a call on the radio, and like fireboat number one downtown Seattle will respond if they can, or whatever.
Right.
So there was no coordination like that. It was just like, sorry, good luck. And that they were in
Hmm.
Anchorage. This was Coast Guard Alaska sector. Anchorage covers that whole area. So it's a way bigger region. They have huge fish to fry when it comes to rescues up there with fishermen and stuff. So we were safe. It was okay. Um, but at this point, Doc is like, I got to have one more go at that. I think I can get the hose way down underneath the floorboards where I think it's coming from and get it out. And I was so reluctant to let him go back in there, but it wasn't really my call. I was just like, okay, I'm going to come in the
So wait,
cockpit.
how old is it? How old is Doc?
70 something.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
in
right.
his
So like my
70s.
dad's age. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And,
Yep.
but like real fit dude and real capable
Yeah.
and just, yeah,
Yeah.
sharp. Um,
But who
and
like who was I mean, who's like were you clearly the captain? Like who was in
no,
charge in
no,
this
he was,
situation?
he was captaining this boat. In fact,
Okay, all
part
right.
of part of the wild thing about this trip is I was like, oh my God, I finally get to do one of these trips where I'm not stressed about running the boat. Like be
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be first mate and second engineer to his captain, first engineer, as the owner of the
Right.
boat.
Sure.
And
Yep.
really enjoy that, as much as sorry, people boating by, as much as I enjoy being a captain and being in charge of those things. Like I don't know that region. He knows that region. He spent all last summer there. It's his boat and he's a real capable dude. I had no problem just being like, I will support this trip in any way that I can as a mariner. But
Yeah.
not in the captain's seat. So he and if it had been like a leasing situation or a situation where like I was clearly the captain and he was like the owner ride along, that would be even more complicated because it's like it's still your boat, you're still the owner, you're not going to take the calls from the captain if he's saying we're
Right.
leaving it.
Yeah.
And it's like and in his defense, he did the right thing. I was really really worried about the smoke inhalation. It was bad, and we both had taken in a lot, and he had
Mm.
taken in a lot more than me. um and but he's like, I got to have one more go at that thing with the hose. So I was like, all right, I'm coming aboard with you, and we're gonna talk the whole time. Because as soon as he went down below, he's in black, like a black curtain of smoke. Like I could
Damn.
not see him
Wow.
through the companionway. All I could
Yeah,
see is the
wow.
hose wiggling
Wow.
around. But he went in there,
Wow.
and man, to his credit, he put the fire out. He just like hosed it, just stuck it in there and hosed it and held his breath and closed his eyes. And we probably put 300 gallons of water in that boat. I don't know, like it was a lot of water.
Holy shit.
Um,
Wow.
and he put the fire out, and we were like, okay, reassess. We got to do something here. Let's go back to the barn. If we can get a tow,
How
these
wait,
guys are
wait, wait.
like,
How did you know you got the fire out? Did it just the smoke stop eventually or
yeah,
like
the smoke stopped. The smoke stopped, and we were like, everything good? Like, and it's like wet and steamy, and it clears out and you can see things again. And it's like, holy shit. That's my memory of it. To be honest, it's a little bit of a blur exactly how we
Yeah,
knew it was
yeah,
out. But there's more story to that actually because it wasn't really out. Um, but it was contained. The flames were not. The fire was out. The source was not contained, but the fire was out. And so these fishermen are trying to go herring fishing, and we're like, Jesus Christ! Well, can we get a tow back to the barn? Like, no one's coming for us. Coast Guard's not going to come tow you in. There's one little fisherman in a small boat that was like, you guys got it? Okay, I'm gonna go fish, like a recreational fisherman, like halfway through the fire, pieces out. I'm like, well, okay, be nice if you stood
yeah,
on station in case more was needed, but whatever. And then these three dudes came out drunk from the heli lodge, like in a little dinghy with no shoes on, kicking back with beers, like, we're here to save the day, like making jokes while we're in the middle of fighting this fire. I was like ready to throw a beer bottle at them. But they
God,
were cool. We saw them a couple days later on the mountain, and it was fine. They were trying to they brought some levity to the situation, so it was fine. But we got towed back by these guys in like the jankiest tow, where we were like all just wanting to get back to the dock. So we had like a single line tow off his starboard side and our port bow, and it was way too close. So when they slowed down, we were so fucking close to just slamming into the back of their boat. And then I'm like, dude, I think, and no radio comms because his radio was dead, and we're just shouting it. It was not how I generally would do it, but it was kind of like a necessity. Um, and
yeah,
they tow us back. It's like half an hour or something, I think, about to get back to the barn. And they cut us loose, and I'm like, we should just drift in. They had the rest of the crew on their boat. So we're like, why don't you drop the rest of the crew at the dock? They can help catch the boat. We're going to just go to this end tie. And we're like, oh shit, like there's fish boats in and out all the time. And they're like, no, that guy's hauled out for until like May or something. So you're fine to go to that end slip. They like know everybody. We're headed in, these giant processor or like tender ships are like coming out, and we're like, we're trying to call them on the radio, but no one uses the radio up there, and it turns out they were going up to the grid or something to clean the bottom, like whatever. It was just chaos of like, we have no control, we're just
yeah.
floating in forward and trying to steer in. And I get the fenders set up, which ended up being we had to go to the other side with no fenders. Oh my god, rapidly changing the lines to the other side to deal with what the situation we had. We had almost enough momentum to get in, and then we were going to lose the momentum. And the guys, I was like, just come up behind us with your bow picker and I'll push off of you. It was like stand on the sugar
Yeah.
scoop and push off of them. And then we made it in. And it was great, dude. Those fishermen, I mean, they saved the boat with like, and we get on the dock, and we send that, we're like, can we, I had some cash, I was like, can I give you cash? And they're like, absolutely not, like we're fine, and they go out fishing. Like up there, people help each other, and it's almost like we discovered
Yeah.
almost an insult to offer money, because it's like
Mm,
they're like, dude, it'll be us tomorrow, and we'll appreciate when you or someone like you's there to help. And
right.
so they go off to go fishing, and we tie the boat up, and we're all just like trying to figure out what the hell just happened. We're kind of just sitting there like, Jesus. And later on, hours later, we sort of regroup at the boat, and we pull up the floorboards, and we're like, oh my God, like this was, or actually, I think we pulled up the floorboards right then, but I can't remember. No, I don't think we pulled up that starboard floorboard until later. Um, and anyway, it was like the wood was charcoaled underneath, and everything, all the
Damn.
wiring on that starboard side under the kind of throughway there was just like very serious catastrophic fire, like gone. Everything is burned out.
You sent me
Um,
those pictures, man. It's pretty wild.
it was really wild. I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, and the fact that the floorboard had charcoaling was like, it was
Yeah.
so close to the whole thing lighting up, and not being able to put it out.
Mm.
Um, And then the guy who looks after the boat in the winter, Nathan was with us at that point, and we're like kind of looking at things, and I was like, I think we should get the positive terminals. Like clearly, it was an electrical fire,
I was going
and
to
I was
ask,
like,
do you, so why do you say clearly? Because of what
well,
was the
because what was
indicator?
burned was all the wiring from the
Okay.
batteries up to the switches. We got the switches off, so nothing upstream or downstream, I guess you'd say, um, got burned. But your switches aren't right at your battery. There's a lot of cabling from your batteries. Now, there's a lot of people screaming at the headphones right now, going like, "Terminal fuses," or "Class T fuses." True, correct. That maybe would have stopped this issue. However, old boat, older things going on, and on the list of things to do.
Sure.
It's always like there's something on the list. Um, so I don't really point any fingers at anything. We don't really know exactly what went down or what caused it because everything is charred. The batteries are
Everything's
fine.
toast.
Batteries
Yeah.
are good, but everything downstream from the batteries to the switches is toast, including the engine wiring harness and all this other stuff. The grinding we discovered, or we assume, or we theorize, the grinding sound we initially heard that made us investigate was the starter motor when the wires burned up on that shorted out and was trying to engage with the motor.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
which is like
That
lucky,
makes sense. Yeah.
really lucky, because if we hadn't heard that sound, I don't think we would have caught that fire until it was burning up like the sidewalls underneath the floorboards. You
Because
know
you
what I
wouldn't have
mean?
shut the engine off. Yeah.
We wouldn't have opened the hatch to look without that sound. We would have had smoke a lot later coming up from somewhere, and it would have been a lot farther along in the burning
Jeez.
process.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was a lucky little thing. Uh, yeah. I was joking like, Jesus, take the starter motor. Jesus, take the wheel.
Damn.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, really.
it was it was wild. So that alerted us to the situation, which was lucky. And then while we're standing there looking at the situation, Nathan like shines a flashlight underneath, and he's like, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, fire extinguisher!" Like the thing is like underneath the floorboards, like starting to glow and trying something is shorting out and trying to glow up again. So we,
Jesus.
under a bunch of sparks, we pull all the positive terminals off the batteries, and then we're good. And we actually right there ripped out a few cables that were looking really scary, like they could lay onto a terminal or do something freaky. So, basically, a boat that sails in the ocean, has so much vibration. And so they talk about chafe guard. And if you're sailing around Puget Sound for your whole career or lake sailing or something, you're running something around a corner or you're running something through something tight, it's probably going to be fine forever. You're like, how could that chafe? Just like day sailors look at a line, over the end of the boom or something and go like that's not going to chafe. Well, at sea it is, right? Because it's just that repetitive stress injury to everything on the
Yeah.
boat. This boat has sailed who knows what wires. We theorize that somewhere things chafed and sawed together and grounded out, shorted out, started the fire, and then the batteries continued to feed power to that.
So
And
these are old. Hang on. These are old, like just lead acid, or what kind of
I think
batteries
they're
were they?
AGMs. I think they're
AGMs. Okay.
AGMs.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're not. The batteries aren't super old, but there's a lot of old wiring in the boat, like there is in lots of old boats. You
Sure.
know,
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
and some of it. I mean, yeah. Doc and I have talked about. He's like, this is a great opportunity to make this a lot better, and he's already rebuilding it up there and making it a
It's
lot
one of
better.
those things. It's like a freaking miracle that didn't happen when he was at sea. You said they had been using the boat, what, 3 loops of the Pacific or something
Well,
crazy?
this one was different boat. This boat just did the last loop of the Pacific, but 8 years at
Okay.
sea, and their last passage was from Japan to the Aleutians, outer Aleutians,
And
anywhere
that,
between.
Jesus.
I mean, yeah, man, like any scenario. This is the thing that freaks me out and that is keeping me up at night, literally at the moment, is any scenario other than those fishermen being right there, the boat is lost.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way to fight that fire on board.
Hmm.
Um, and like they're at sea in Japan. We're 5 hours later, we're anchored up in a little bay up around the corner. The boat is lost. We're fine, probably. I mean, in my darkest imaginations, it's like everyone's asleep and
Mm.
and that happens, and then you're dealing with a much bigger problem, which maybe ends with people in the water or so. I don't know. I try not to spin out too much, but there's like a lot of I also try to imagine the worst case scenarios so I understand really what we were dealing with and what you could be dealing with in a situation like that. And it's really heavy, like really, really heavy. We were okay. We were okay. Like I can hear my therapist, who's by the way on a retreat for 3 months, so I have no access to her. I can
Bad
hear my
timing.
therapist saying like, "You're okay," like, um, but it was just such a close shave in either direction of us not really being okay. And whether that's just a more traumatic experience like losing the boat or coming to harm. I really don't think we would come to harm in the situation we had, although there are some safety things I've been thinking about on my own
Like what?
boats. Well, a big one is I want to have a big ass fire extinguisher and a full face respirator in the cockpit in a lazarette so that I can go into the
Hmm.
boat equipped with
Yeah.
something that can actually do something. Now, my engine room has fire suppression, also on the list for
Right.
this boat, right? This boat didn't have engine compartment suppression, which may or may not have done it. An electrical fire being constantly fed,
Well,
it's
it
pretty hard to say. It would have put out the flames momentarily, and maybe we could have dealt with the sparking or
it would
something
have at
if we figured it out.
least it would have at least alerted you maybe earlier, right? Like even just a
Yes.
fire alarm.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like,
interestingly, I had just installed a CO2 monitor in the boat.
oh
Like I was
wow,
like,
interesting.
we should, or a carbon monoxide monitor. I was like, we should have a carbon monoxide monitor in the boat. And he's like, yeah, we absolutely should. Whatever. Lots of boats don't have them, and they should. And so we updated that. I went to Ace, bought one of those, put it in, and real simple thing. And then of course it's like Jesus, all the things you don't think. It's just I never in my wildest dreams imagined a fire. I imagined a lot of things that I prepared for. You know, but a respirator in the cockpit so you can put that on and find all the other shit you need. We also, and I want to be careful to say like I'm like I asked Doc Curlo if I could talk about this because I didn't want to have this conversation without him, and I hope he'll come on and talk about it himself, and also talk about. I hope you'll interview him and talk about his whole sailing career because it's massive and it's so cool. And he's a great orator
Yeah.
and just really he's a really good dude, and he's very aware of the shortcomings of things. It's really hard to stomach like, oh, this is a thing that was in the plan for this boat. Engine room fire suppression and terminal fuses that just haven't happened yet. The
Hmm.
other piece is like we talked about some safety protocols with the crew, but not that in depth because he and I both made what I would call the mistake of being like, we're going up the fjords. Like, we're not going to sea. Like, we've all been to sea, much higher consequences at sea. Like, we're going up the fjords and we have the dinghy on the deck and we have, like, it was just kind of like a chill inland thing.
It's that,
And
yeah, low stakes complacency thing.
low stakes complacency. And all in a good mood. And the weather predictions, were good for our moving around. And then there were some blows in there, but we had the timing all worked out. Anyway, there just wasn't anything really making us nervous, which should make you nervous, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, just thinking about the protocol, I've been really considering how to talk to my guests on board about safety in a serious in maybe a more serious way, but without making it scarier. Um, I have guests that sleep aboard at anchor on the mooring out here where I go home. So there's
Right.
like a
Right.
little, I want to have a little more in-depth preparation. I mean, I do give an in-depth about this is, I mean, call 911 and then alert me. I think I'm going to have we're right here. Like literally I can see the mooring right here. So I think I'm actually going to
Yeah.
have an air horn for them. Now will be another piece of
it's,
safety protocol.
it's
They
clever.
can
It's
literally
simple.
middle of the night just hold it down till it
Yeah.
runs out of air and you see
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
coming your way. Because I'm a faster response than first responders just because I'm
Right.
right here. um but ultimately, like, put your life jacket on and get off the boat if there's a fire. Like, don't try to fight a fire, you know. um and we
Yeah.
show where fire extinguishers are. They're all very obvious and out in the open. They're not hidden away. And there's, two major egresses and all that. But yeah, I just and I have class T fuses, and I have engine room suppression, and I have all these things that are in place, and a propane sniffer that'll shut off the solenoid, and it works. I've tested it accidentally, and so, like, there's like lots of things you can put in place, but I'm still like, I feel just so fucking gun shy right now. I'm like really,
It,
really
hmm.
freaked out by that experience. If you told me you had a passage for me to go on like next month, I'd have a hard time saying yes to it going to sea right now.
Really.
Um,
Really.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
I will
Little PTSD.
yeah, I mean, I'll be okay. I'll get there.
Yeah.
And I need to get there. I mean, I'm going to the San Juan Islands for a week on my boat, which will be nice to like stretch the legs and be at anchor and, trust the boat and trust
Hmm.
boats in general. But it was a hard thing to be away and then like be thinking through the tug. My family's at home on the tug, and I'm like, okay,
Right. Yeah.
like how far are those class T fuses from the, batteries, and like where are the okay, we've got right now the water pump is plugged into this outlet on this extension thing, which I don't love, but it kind of has to work that way. It's like, is that a GFI? Okay, that's a GFI. Like, what did I'm like thinking through all these scenarios. And we have engine room fire suppression, like massive in this boat because a big engine room. And but it's like, got to talk to the kids and the family again about, all the protocols around that. And I don't
So
ever want
wait.
anybody to be responsible for fighting a fire. I mean, I think ultimately you should fucking leave the boat if you don't
Well,
know what you're
I
doing.
mean, it depends because, like, when we do our trips on Falcon, we're far offshore, and when I do the briefing, everybody does a little fire extinguisher treasure hunt and finds where they are and how they work and stuff. And it's one of those things I kind of joke about it, but it's like, look, if you if there's a fire, like, fucking deal with it and then wake me up. Don't wake me up first. Like, you have, like, at sea, you have, like you said, you have a very limited amount of time to put it out before now you're getting in the life raft. And when you're halfway across the Pacific, it's a different calculus of getting in that life raft than it is when you're a mile from shore in Alaska, even though it's cold. You know what I mean? It's like a different, just different,
Yeah,
like you said, different stakes.
yeah.
Um, and that's one of the things that, like, if you don't put it out immediately, it's gonna get bad quickly, as you
Yeah,
experienced.
I mean, my comment about like leaving, not fighting the fire, leaving the boat, is like here on the dock or on the mooring or
Sure.
whatever. Like in this
I mean, I get it. It's
close quarter
different
thing,
for
it's like
people that are
save your life. Don't deal with property. But yeah, I
right.
mean, it's your life depends on you fighting that fire at sea. I mean, our in some ways our lives would depend on fighting that fire even in the fjords. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you I was just like, I remember thinking when I thought we were going to lose the boat, I was like, I had a quick thought where I was like, how's everyone getting home? Like all of our like stuff is like our wallets, licenses, passport. I mean, you didn't need a passport to go there, but I still travel with one. It's like, how are we even getting home? Like Cordova doesn't have, you have to fly out of Cordova, or take a ferry, which we'd have no money to do so. And we have no identification. And then where are you going for like a place where you could get identification? Cordova doesn't have any resources for getting an
Right.
ID. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. So
At least you're in your home country.
yeah, at least, although, how safe that can feel at times. Um,
Well, so
but
I have a
yeah,
question though. When you guys, like, okay, you're back at the dock now. Like,
Yeah.
what's like you're in like okay, I guess you the adrenaline's worn off. What like what's your next move? Like now
Well,
what?
I don't, this is the thing that I think I'm dealing with right now, like sort of physically and psychologically, is like the adrenaline didn't wear off. We had so much to
Mm,
do. It was like, how do we, for Andy and I, and really the whole crew, because we were working as a team, and this crew, oh man, uh, any other crew, we could have had one person that cracked a little and it would have fucked the whole thing. But
yeah,
everybody was like, um, so I don't know. Like everybody had their own light they brought to the darkness is the only way I can kind of
that's a good way to
describe
put
it.
it. Yeah,
And and everybody played into making something positive happen and really pulled their weight. And I mean I honestly say I think the rest of the crew did more than I could have done as I sort of sorted through all this stuff. Because we had two professional ski guides and an avalanche forecaster, professional avalanche forecaster, as, on our crew, and like my niece is a total ripper and has been ski touring a bunch in Utah where she lives, and everybody else tours all the time. It was like, what are we going to do? We got to do some skiing. We got to get skiing. We got to salvage something here. And Andy also had um, deliverables due to some brands, as far as photographs go for this trip. So immediately we needed to find a place to stay because we couldn't stay on the boat. There's no power, can't access the fresh water. There's, it's wet. There's, whatever.
full of 300
Miraculously,
gallons of salt water.
miraculously, dude, in our willy-nilly, like we stood there talking about what we were going to do while this hose was like, wah, into the galley, like just hosing before we were like targeting it. And by some miracle, none of the laptops that were sitting out got wet or
Oh
damaged.
wow,
None of the gear
Jesus.
got wet or damaged or smoke damaged. My gear, the bottom layer in my duffel, because my duffel was on the floor, I had to wash and dry because it got wet. But clothing,
Yeah.
um, and I mean, it was like nothing, none of the gear, nothing of the electronics was damaged. Nothing on the boat as far as the electronics go, up or downstream of the switches, was damaged. There's a bunch of water in the bilge, but we were able to rig up a battery. Doc rigged up a battery with alligator clips to the bilge pump and pump that stuff out. Took a while. Um, and Yeah, and so anyway, we gathered our belongings and put everything out on the dock, and we're like, Andy was immediately working on a place to stay. There was one Airbnb that could house us in Cordova altogether. So we got that Airbnb, and we were about to go borrow some shopping carts from the grocery store across from the marina to move all our gear up the dock, um, and then this nice fisherman with another bow picker was like, "I'll bring my bow picker around. You can load up, and I'll take you over to the net dock." And because we were way out at the end of the pier,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we loaded everything in there and scooted along. Really nice guy. This guy Cole, he lives aboard and in the harbor on an old fishing vessel with his wife and kid, and then fishes. And he helped us out, and then this dude Nathan, who looks after the boat, drove us over to the Airbnb. It's walking distance, but with all our gear, and got down there, and there's this really cool rickety shack kind of thing that fit us all on the waterfront, like in this tidal
Huh.
bay, and we kind of reset there and started right to work on where we were going to ski around town because there's big mountains right there in Cordova. So we got to it, and the next afternoon, my niece and one of the guide friends, Natalie, and I went up behind the old ski lift that's there and toured up there. And we got partway up, and we're like, "Ah, shit, we forgot bear spray." So we're like,
Oh
we're
wow.
feel, and it was like raining and spooky, and I was like already spooked by life, and I was like, we were like, okay, let's just go until somebody has a strong feeling about it. And I was like, took like 3 steps and was like, I have a strong feeling about it. And we're like, all right, let's not go any farther. So we went back down, had a little ski down the path. And then the next day we all went up there to that zone and went all the way to the top. And it was really nice weather. storm moving in, but like blue skies with this storm on the horizon, and then just like really nice snow up high. Got some great turns in, kind of boosting the spirits a bit. And we did a little photography work down at the boat that afternoon, or maybe that morning with the dinghy and stuff, trying to get some content with the sail to ski type stuff for the brand.
Yeah.
And then, or brands. And then, day after that, we did one more day of skiing, got into terrain a little farther from town. We were able to borrow a truck from one of the other doctors up there. So Doc Hurlo, he works as a doctor in Cordova, like five days a month or something.
Hence the name, hey?
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is kind of what he's done. He just kind of like works all through the uh Pacific as a doctor. That's what he's done. He's just kind of like provided service where he goes. But this one is cool. When the boat landed in Cordova, he found out they needed some coverage, and so he goes up there like 5 days a month and does a little
Cool.
week-long shift. And anyway,
That's
so one of the
cool.
other doctors there loaned us a truck, and we were able to go out and get dropped off at this trailhead and go skiing up in this big zone. And then we were just every day was like, what are we doing tomorrow? How are we doing? Like, okay, we talked to a helicopter pilot about going up to the glacier, but we don't have camping gear, so it would be a lot of money just for one day. And then this, that, and the other, and maybe we'll take a ferry to Whittier and ski kind of the zone between Whittier and Anchorage, and then fly out of Anchorage. All this stuff. It was just like go 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 go, and then we got to like that kind of second or third day of skiing and touring, and we all kind of were like, I think we're done. I think we're done. I think
Hmm.
we're going to change our flights and go home because all of the other logistics cost as much or more than changing our flight out of Cordova.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
so we decided to fly out the third. That was on a Tuesday. We decided we'd fly out Thursday. We spent Wednesday going out to this amazing glacier lake where the huge cragged glacier comes down and drops these giant icebergs into the lake, and then it's frozen, and you're walking out on the lake and into these ice caves, and
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool.
absolutely, absolutely magical. And kind of a nice, just a real nice bow on top. And then dropped my niece went on that Wednesday, flew out of Cordova so she could come spend time with her family on Bainbridge before going back to Utah. And so we dropped her at the airport and picked up the doc's son, who was coming in to help him with the wiring stuff and cleanup. And it all just like kind of was this nice coordination, but just like so much work all the time, the adrenaline going, dealing with this stuff. And then I flew home and I got here and I just felt like I was hit by a truck. It was like, oh my God, it
I
finally
bet,
lets
man.
down. And yeah.
I can't believe you guys went straight from like dealing with that intensity to like, all right, now we're gonna go backcountry skiing on top of it because that's like stressful in a way, in its own way.
It is, but it felt so good to just like work
Yeah,
the
I
body
guess.
hard, like
Yeah,
it felt really, really good because I'm like off the couch with this stuff because I never have enough time to be in shape for these trips. But I trust my body and I really trust my mind. I've got enough experience, in being in these big spaces and carrying weight on my back and moving through those. I know I'm going to survive it and be fine, even if I'm sore or
yeah,
tired or whatever. And I felt
sure.
great out there. It felt really, really good. And a lot of gratitude for the way things went, because they could have gone. I don't love that we had a boat fire, but I feel particularly grateful that it went the way it did, that those fishermen were there and that they responded so quickly without a split second of hesitation. They were on it and knew kind of what needed to happen. And kind of the whole town, the rest of the week or the rest of the days we were there, it's like you're walking around town and it's like, oh, you guys visiting? It's like, yeah. Oh, are you guys? Yeah, that's us, small town.
You guys are
But
the
yeah,
dopes that caught on fire.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Did you? So would you do anything like? Okay, so you hadn't been on this boat before. Would you have
not
done
not
anything
in
differently, or
11 years or
would
whatever. Yeah.
would you do anything differently if you were like doing this on someone else's boat next time? Would you? Are you gonna like go down and inspect for fuses and shit now, or like you gonna do anything differently, or how? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I came home and like I see my sailor friends and they're like, Ben, how was the trip? I was like, do you have terminal fuses on your batteries or class T's like within 7 inches? They're like, hey, nice to see you. I'm like, no, I need to know about your fuses on your boat. Like I'm kind of just like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think I'm going to be exhausting for a while, but yes, yes is the answer to that. I will inspect those things. I want to at least know if there's fire suppression in the engine room. I want to know about fusing. I want to know where the battery switches are and what they do, and
Mm,
kind of what they connect to, because some battery switches, some things come into the board and then back to the switches. There's a way to wire that way, and that gets messy because then you have no control over separating the board from the batteries. Um, I'm not a professional marine electrician. I've observed really awesome electricians doing really cool work on my boats and boats that I manage, but I don't know. I just know enough to kind of. I'm sure something else will get me down the line. You know what I mean? I'll be really diligent about
well,
this, and then something else will
yeah.
get me where like the fucking rig comes down. And you're like, what the? You
Well,
know?
so what I was gonna say, that's like you can spend too much time focusing on something because you had an experience with it, and then something else can happen. But I guess I guess like if you're gonna sort of summarize this as to what would you have done differently, like fire is probably the highest stakes part of this. Like if the rig comes down, well, okay, that sucks, but like you're not
As
gonna
long
have
as
to
it
get
doesn't
off
fall
the
on
boat for
somebody.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, right, but I'm just saying, like from boat inspection stuff like that. I mean, that is fire would be at the top of the list. Rig would be shortly down from that, I guess. But you know what I mean? It's like I guess focus on
yeah,
the things that are the highest consequence, even if they're low risk. It's that classic kind of low risk, high consequence thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think also just like a protocol discussing fire with crew on a trip like that. I don't think I need to discuss fire in depth with my day charter clients. I don't think that's
Yeah,
necessary. So here's the fire extinguishers, here's where the life jackets are. Follow instructions. They don't need to like, but I mean it's a little more in depth than that, but that's the gist of it.
sure.
And but with a crew that's going to be sleeping on a boat and we're going into a wilderness area, I do think fire preparedness is really good. I'd like to do an STCW course and really understand fire and fighting fires a little better. Um,
The
in
hard
all my
part with that
free
though is
time.
is that like I've done that course and like it doesn't apply to small boats. You're
Right,
in a container with like an oxygen tank on your back with a fire hose. Like you're not going to have that equipment.
right,
You do go over the basics of some of that stuff, but like you're just not going to have that equipment. So
right,
it's not that applicable. Not
right.
to not do it, but it's really fun on its own to do it. But you gotta think how would you apply what you learned to like your small scale boat stuff. And like
Yeah,
you guys, like you
totally.
said, got really lucky that there was a boat nearby that had a fire pump on it.
Right. So then the question is like, do you have a gasoline powered trash pump in the lazarette? And like a little Honda, and the hoses to do something with it. Um, Certainly an option to have a trash pump.
Yeah, I would focus more on prevention. I think.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
But all these things cross my mind. But yeah, the respirator thing is a big one for me. Having a respirator in the cockpit somewhere so you can enter that space and be useful and not die on your way down.
yeah. Well, Ben, I think we should
Yeah,
wrap this up before your iPad dies so that you can
yeah,
finish uploading your side of this. But I am glad
yeah.
that
We should do
this
that. I'm
had a
pretty far
happy
down here.
ending. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see, how the guy how the guy rebuilds that part of the boat. I think that'll be fun to follow up with, and hopefully I will get him on the podcast.
Yeah, I want to. I'll connect you this week because he's.
Cool.
I'll connect you guys by message because he's great. He's a really cool dude, and he was as sad as we are or more because it's his boat, but we all wanted to get up the fjords, and so
Yeah.
what a privilege to be in that space and to have that opportunity, and so to lose that, I'm recognizing the privileged being bummed out about my privilege.
Sure.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get out. Fjords aren't going
Cool, man.
anywhere.
Well, thanks for sharing the story, Ben. I'm going to hit stop
Yeah,
on
buddy.
the thing here so you can sign off, but stay on the phone here till that finishes uploading.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Thanks, Andy.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Thanks again to Schooner Woodwind for sponsoring this episode of the show. Use the coupon code HOLDFAST, all caps, no spaces, on schoonerwoodwind.com to buy tickets, and that is good for $10 off any public sale for the rest of the year. Buy a beer on us. That's HOLDFAST, coupon code on schoonerwoodwind.com. Thanks also to BVI Yacht Sales for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Go to bviyachtSales.com to get in touch, check out their listings, and see if they can sell or buy your dream boat. On the Wind is the podcast about sailing, created by 59 North and hosted by me, Andy Schell, and August Sandberg. The show is mixed and produced by me and August in Sweden and Norway, respectively. The intro theme music is composed and performed by former podcast guest, sailor, and musician Cameron Dale, while the outro music you're hearing now is, of course, by our friends, the Storm Weather Shanty Choir from Bergen, Norway. We love hearing from our fans, so send your questions and comments to holdfast@59-north.com, and please do us a favor and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to join us on the Quarterdeck as well to nerd out about seamanship. That's quarterdeck.59-north.com. Until next time, hold fast.